Hi, friends. Let's see. Are we live? There we are. Welcome. Hi. I am here doing Zoom instead of the regular Facebook interface because it smushed my face last time. So, this is part 3 of a series that I've been doing about how to create your pinch me life, whatever that means for you. And so if you haven't caught the other two, they are pinned to the top of this group. But I want to do a quick recap and then we will get into today. So I have 3 tips or 2 tips, 3 tips. And then we will be wrapping up this series. And I'm actually want to let you know that I will be wrapping up going live every Monday in here because I will be working on the podcast that I have been putting off for far, far too long. So that is what's in the works. And as I teach, not being in the hustle, it just felt like I needed to pause something in order to be able to take that on. And so these videos will be paused. And instead, Team Shannon will be working on the podcast coming up. So that is exciting. So just to recap, and if you want to watch the rest of the videos, like I said, they're all pinned to the top of this group. But some of the things that we've been talking about over the last 2 weeks of how to create your own pinch me life have been around, first of all, defining what your pinch me life looks like, what you want that to entail, what do you want to have, what are some experiences that you want to have, what do you want your life to look like, what do you want your daily life to look like, what time do you want to wake up, where do you want to travel. So really getting super fucking clear on what this vision looks like, because we want you to know where you're going. We want to know what you're striving for, what gets you excited, what is going to propel you forward. So really, first of all, defining what that is. Looking at any mindset shifts that need to happen. So believing that what you want is possible, believing that it's available to you, believing that it is on the way already, that you have decided and the universe will conspire with your decision, really holding the belief. One of the mantras that I have is that the universe has my back and fully supports my dreams. And I have to keep coming back to that over and over and over again when it feels like things aren't happening fast enough, when I think that my dreams are too big, when I think that I'm asking for, like it's a too much of a tall order for the universe to deliver. I have to come back to this belief that the universe wants what's best for me and will always, always deliver. And it might not look exactly the way that I wanted it to look, or it might not come in the same package, right? But I will always get what I want and what I have been dreaming about. And so then today, part 3 is one way, or one thing that you want to be thinking about as you are creating your pinch me life is setting boundaries. So this is some of the biggest work that I do with my clients. First of all, sure, we do funnels, sure, we do marketing, messaging. We're going to look at your program, right? But so much of what happens in our personal life will show up in our business and vice versa. So if you don't have boundaries in your personal life, you are really going to struggle to have boundaries in your business, which means that you are going to say yes to things that you don't really want to be doing. You are going to overextend yourself. You are probably going to take calls when you don't want to be taking calls. You might take clients that you don't feel aligned with, but because you need the money or because you have a hard time saying no, or maybe you're a people pleaser, you will take them on already knowing that they're going to be a total pain in the ass. And then you have to deal with that later on. If you don't have limits on your time, limits on your bandwidth, and this is showing up in your personal life, it will 100% show up in your business. And this is not the way to, if you're doing this, this is something that really needs to be worked on, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? These are old habits and old patterns and old stories that we have to work through and that slowly start to shift. And this will change how you feel about your business. It will change how you feel about your clients and about your community and about your time. So some ways to start setting boundaries within your business, we can talk about your personal life too. In your business is having set times and work hours, set days that you're working, giving yourself a day, 2 days, 3 days before you make a business decision, before you make a business investment, before you say yes to a podcast interview or being a co-host of something or being on a summit, not saying yes immediately to things. When you also have your business vision of what you want your business to look like, how you want to feel, what your core desired feelings are, there's get it, Nico? I think it's a daddy long leg. So I don't want to kill it because they eat mosquitoes, but it better not get in my hair. Okay. Totally forgot what I was saying. Let's see. Can't remember. Anyway, I'll come back. So giving yourself time to make decisions, and having, oh, I think I know what I was gonna say. So like when you know what your core desired feelings are, when you know what you want your pinch me life to look like, that becomes what you base your decisions off of. Does this summit, does this experience, does this podcast episode, does it get me closer or farther away from my vision of having an integration week where I don't have any clients or calls? I want nothing on my calendar the last week of every month. Does doing this program, which falls on that, like does on the integration week, does this get me closer or further away? And then having that be how you make decisions, and then letting yourself sleep on things, letting yourself say no, learning how to gracefully say no. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate you thinking about me. I am going to have to decline, and I wish you the best with your summit. Ooh, the people pleaser in a lot of people is going to get kicked up with this. And you are not a bitch for setting boundaries. You are not an asshole. You are allowed to have boundaries around your time and your bandwidth and your knowledge and your expertise. If people are asking you to work for free, you do not have to work for free. There's lots of stuff that comes up, right? Let me just turn this off. So this goes exactly into what I wanted to talk about today, and to give you two steps on how to really set boundaries and what that looks like. So the first one we already kind of talked about. So establish clear work hours. This is something that I really struggled with when I was brand new as a coach. I thought that if I'm not available all the time, people are going to hire somebody else. They are going to want me, like, well, what if they work and they have to feed kids and, they need an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock call. Sometimes the calls, like I'm taking one-on-one calls like 10 o'clock at night because they lived over in Australia or they lived here, or they couldn't I don't do that anymore. My work hours are very defined and very set. I'm about 6 to 9 hours ahead of North America. So this does throw a wrench in things, but we get creative, right? And these are my hours. And I'm not any good before these hours. If you want me at my full capacity, then it needs to be during this specific time. And if the hours don't work, then maybe we won't work together, right? But you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with people not liking your boundaries, with people not understanding why you have the boundaries, and wanting you to work outside of your zone or outside of your hours. And you are allowed, every business, it's not like if they were to go to this business and they were closed on Tuesday and they called or they banged on the door and demanded that they're open on Tuesday because I'm here, this is my day off. Like any shop would be like, here's the hours, just fucking come back when we're open. You're allowed to do that. So define specific work hours for yourself and communicate them to your clients, your colleagues, family members, kids, any team members, anything like that. So they need to know when your specific hours are. You can have this on your website, on your sales page. These are the days and times that I typically take my clients. You can talk about it in the sales call and on your discovery call, consultation, whatever you call it, so that they know what that's going to look like and what you are and are not available for. Make it a rule to not respond to work-related messages or calls outside of these designated hours. So that means don't check your email on the weekend, don't go into Voxer on the weekend. Like if you are working Monday through Friday between this time and this time, this is when you check your messages, respond to messages. Because what happens, and I've gotten in trouble, right, where I was breaking boundaries and was working with a client who wasn't very good with boundaries. It's funny how the universe sends people to us to help us work on our things. And so I was responding on the weekend when I really shouldn't have been responding on the weekend. And then when I didn't respond on the weekend because I was trying to enforce boundaries, there was a big rupture in the container. She was not happy. We ended up parting ways because it just wasn't working. What are you doing? So really, this is for your mental health. It is to set the container with your clients. It's to set the expectations so that everybody knows when you are and are not available, when they can expect an answer. If you message me at 8 o'clock my time on a Friday, you won't hear from me usually until Monday. And if I do respond, it is a gift. It's because I'm just checking in, because maybe I checked in with my clients late and I just want to check in with them on that Saturday if I'm working, right? But I make it clear that that is the exception and not the rule. Syncing your calendars is also really important. So we use Google Calendar and Acuity, and these are synced. And so my personal things like doctor's appointments, calls with friends, date nights, anything like that, is like massages, right? Like anything that I want booked out that I don't want to be double booked with a client, it will show up as unavailable on my Acuity. So the way that I've also scheduled my day and my week is that I have mornings because of where I live. So I have mornings. I usually don't start working until 3. And usually my work day is from like 3 until 8:30, depending on the day. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are my work days. And so I really try not to schedule things during the work hours because I have the whole morning or I have Monday. So I give myself a 4-day weekend if I want to. So that way, client calls and team calls aren't interrupted if I decide to take a long weekend. So that works for me. It works really well. And then again, as I said, I take the last week of every month off as part of my integration week. So there are no program calls. We've even changed the programs and extended them, so that I have a clear schedule the last week of every month, so I can travel, so that I can sleep in, so that I can integrate and lay around and do nothing if I want to, or I can go do all the things. But it's time for me to relax and just work on my projects, get the podcast up and running. And it's also a time for my clients to integrate what they've learned. All of my clients typically incorporate some sort of integration week into their own businesses as well. And so it works really well when they have also chosen to do the last week of every month. So then we can both be in sync and just chill out and relax and not have to worry about being on calls. So make sure that your calendars are synced, that you block off those times so that you have dedicated periods for gym, walks, yoga, playing, having fun, family activities, vacations. So if you haven't already, go block off weekends, birthdays, holidays, vacations for 2024 so that it's already built into your calendar. This is one thing that I've been doing with my one-on-one clients and the mastermind clients is before we map out any sort of launch plan or like content calendar for the year, I have them go through the entire year and block off any integration weeks, any long weekends, look at what the holidays are. So if it's a national holiday wherever you live, take that off because you don't have to be working. If no one else is working around you, I don't know, in Italy we have lots of like fireworks and events. And so when I don't block those off, I'm missing cultural activities, right? I'm missing the fireworks that are going to be going off and I can hear them from my house. And I'm like, yeah, I forgot to block this off. So that's one thing that I am committing to this next year is making sure that I know when they are, that they're in my calendar, that they're completely blocked off. And then that way I get to go have fun and go watch parades and events and that sort of thing. So this leads me into the second part, which is prioritizing pleasure, play, and rest. So I have my gym blocked off my calendar every day. I go to the spa it's part of the gym. So I go to the spa every day. And so I have these designated 4 hours every day that I have for working out and the bike ride to get there and all of that stuff. So doing? Kitty's getting crazy over here. So remembering to schedule your work around your play, not the other way around. This is what we've been taught. So we squeeze in fun on the weekends. Maybe we'll get like a workout class in at the end of the day, or no, we want to flip this script and we want you to be scheduling your work around your fun, around your play. So that's why I want you to go in and is there a class that you want to be taking? Is there like a hobby that you want to be picking up? Is there a photography class or a community class that you want to be doing? What is like, we want to have lives outside of our businesses. It makes you more interesting. It makes you more fun. It brings more joy. It is more fulfilling. We're not here just to like work and only do the work things. Like you want to be doing things outside your business. And so this is how you're going to do it. So block out your lunch, make sure that you're eating. If you're like me and you will just work continuously, I used to even have like done working, like at this time I am done, like computers closed, right? Until you get used to this new schedule. So scheduling in midday walks, maybe you only take 2 clients in a row and then you have an hour off and you go to the beach or you go for a walk around the block, or maybe you live in the woods, right? Go put your feet in some grass or in some dirt. Maybe you want to have a bath in the middle of the day, which feels so decadent and naughty when you're not used to doing that, right? Pleasure practices. Maybe you want to incorporate some dance into the middle of your day. This is what I'm talking about. This will change how you feel about your business, how you feel about your clients. It will allow you to set better boundaries. It'll allow you to feel more lit up and more just in your body and present. And again, we are not supposed to be working nonstop. I do not want you working nonstop. Yes. So anti-hustle doesn't mean not working. Anti-hustle means that you are taking care of yourself. You can still do that when you are in a sales cycle. You can still do that when you are in a launch. prioritizing your mental health, prioritizing your pleasure and play is how you live the anti-hustle life. It's how you have the anti-hustle business model. And it's just how you create your pinch me life. So I got a jam. I have therapy that I got to jump into. But let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear what you are committing to doing to change things, and yeah, what your pinch me life looks like. So I will see you, and I'll be popping in here and doing lives here and there, but they just won't be on Mondays at this regular time anymore. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you soon. Bye.